You know that feeling when someone reveals their true colors at the worst possible moment, and suddenly everything about your relationship makes perfect sense? That happened to me at my ex-girlfriend's charity gala. And honestly, what came after was more satisfying than any revenge I could have planned. I'm Silas, 31, and for the past 6 years I've been running a logistics company in Miami. Nothing glamorous, just supply chain management for import businesses. Turns out moving cargo efficiently is worth serious money though. We handle everything from pharmaceuticals to electronics, and somehow that boring work turned into an $80 million operation. Here's the thing I learned in my 20s. Money makes people weird. I dated a few women who suddenly became way more interested once they found out about my financial situation. It made me question whether they wanted me or what I could provide them. So when I met Sophia 18 months ago, I decided to try something different. Keep the wealth quiet. See what kind of person she was when she thought I was just another business guy making decent money but nothing extraordinary. I met her at Lincoln Road Beach. She was there every Saturday morning, running with this group of friends, all of them clearly from money based on their gear and conversation topics. I'd been going there for months, usually ending my runs at the same coffee cart where they stopped for their post-workout smoothies. She was stunning, obviously, but also incredibly sharp. We talked for 2 hours that first morning about everything from Miami's development boom to her family's real estate empire. Turns out her grandfather had been one of the early developers in Coral Gables, and her family still owned significant commercial property throughout South Florida. From day one, I could tell she was trying to figure out my economic status. Not in a gold-digging way exactly, but like someone who'd grown up around serious wealth and was used to categorizing people by their financial capacity. When I picked her up for our first real date in my Honda Accord, I saw her glance at it with this expression I couldn't quite interpret. "Nice car," she said, but something in her tone suggested she was being polite rather than genuine. I'd deliberately chosen the Accord over the Mercedes sitting in my garage. Wanted to see how she'd react to dating someone who appeared to be comfortably middle class rather than wealthy. Over the next several months, I got an education in how people from established money families view economic differences. Never cruel about it, never directly condescending, but there were constant small comments and observations that revealed her perspective. "There's this incredible restaurant in South Beach, but it's probably outside our budget," she'd say when planning dinner dates. "My father might be able to connect you with some people in shipping who could help advance your career," she'd suggest, assuming I needed professional assistance. "I love that you're so responsible with money," she said once after I suggested we split an expensive meal. "Most guys try to impress me by spending way beyond their means." Her family was cordial but distant when I met them. Her parents, Isabella and Ricardo, treated me like a pleasant enough young man who was obviously temporary. They'd ask basic questions about my business, nod politely when I explained what my company did, then redirect conversation to topics they found more engaging. Her brother Sebastian was the absolute worst. Investment banker, probably mid-30s, the type who wore his wealth like armor. He had this way of talking down to me that was subtle enough to avoid being obviously insulting, but clear enough that I always left family gatherings feeling like I'd been assessed and found inadequate. "Logistics, right?" he'd said during our first meeting. "Tough business. Hope you're building some savings for when the market contracts. Miami's shipping industry is pretty unstable," he'd add. "Smart to manage expectations about long-term growth." I'd never mentioned what my company was worth or what my personal portfolio looked like. In his mind, I was some small business owner dating above my station, and he seemed to enjoy reinforcing that dynamic. The strange thing was, I started internalizing some of their attitudes, not because I questioned my own success, but because constantly being treated like you're inadequate eventually influences how you see yourself in those situations. I'd catch myself feeling defensive about my choices, my lifestyle, my apparent lack of ambition to live more ostentatiously. Sophia never said anything directly critical, but patterns emerged. She'd suggest activities and then quickly backtrack when she remembered I might not want to spend that much. She'd mention vacation ideas and then pivot to more practical alternatives when she caught herself. She'd talk about something she wanted to purchase and then joke about needing to find a wealthy husband someday. All of it was delivered with affection, like she was being considerate of my financial constraints. But it established this dynamic where she was the financially secure one graciously dating down, and I was the guy who should appreciate her flexibility about my economic limitations. Her charity gala was 2 months ago. She'd been discussing it for weeks. Major fundraiser at the Fontainebleau, family tradition, all her relatives and social circle invited. She was passionate about supporting literacy programs in underserved communities, and her family organized this elaborate annual event to raise money. It's going to be extremely formal, she warned me several days before. Like black tie formal. My family puts on quite a show for these things. I told her that sounded wonderful, that I was excited to support her cause. What I didn't mention was that I'd attended events at the Fontainebleau multiple times for industry conferences. My company had sponsored their business leadership summit for the past 3 years. The night of the gala, I showed up in my standard black tuxedo. Nice enough for most formal events, but definitely understated compared to everyone else there. Men in designer suits that probably cost more than most people's monthly salary. Women in gowns that screamed exclusive boutiques. Sophia looked absolutely incredible, naturally. Silver dress that probably cost more than my mortgage payment. Hair and makeup professionally styled. She introduced me around to her network, and I could see them evaluating me, trying to place me in their social hierarchy. This is Silas, she'd say. He runs a small logistics business. Not he owns a company, or he's an entrepreneur. Just small logistics business, like I was managing someone else's operation rather than building my own empire. The gala was everything you'd expect from established Miami money families. Multi-course dinner with wine pairings, silent auction with items worth more than most people's annual salaries, live entertainment from some renowned Latin jazz ensemble. Probably cost more than most families spend in several years. I spent the first part of the evening making conversation with her relatives, most of whom seemed pleasant enough but clearly weren't particularly invested in getting to know me. The interactions were polite but superficial, the kind of exchange you have with someone you expect to never encounter again. Sebastian dominated conversations near the bar, sharing stories about his latest deal successes with anyone who'd listen. When he spotted me, he signaled me over with this condescending smile. "Silas, good to see you again. How's the shipping business treating you?" "Can't complain," I said. "Keeping busy." "That's the right attitude. Keep working hard. Maybe you'll expand into management consulting eventually." Several of his associates chuckled at that, like the idea of me growing beyond my current position was mildly entertaining. "Economy's challenging for small business owners these days," Sebastian continued. "Important to maintain realistic expectations about what kind of lifestyle you can sustain." I nodded diplomatically, but something about his delivery felt different than usual. More pointed, more public, like he was establishing something for the benefit of his audience. That's when the evening took a turn. Sophia had been drinking progressively throughout the event, becoming more animated and confident as the night developed. Around 11 o'clock, I was standing near the auction display, talking to one of her cousins about Miami's tech startup scene, when she approached us. "Silas," she said, her voice projecting in a way that made nearby conversations pause. "I think we need to have a conversation." The tone was wrong, public breakup wrong. I could sense people starting to pay attention. "I've been thinking about us, about our future, and I just don't believe this is sustainable anymore." More conversations were stopping now. Her family members were turning to observe what was happening. "We're in different economic brackets. We have different aspirations, different expectations about what life should look like." She was speaking louder now, either from the alcohol or from wanting an audience for whatever statement she was trying to make. "I need to be with someone who can match my ambitions, who can provide the kind of future I want to create." The humiliation was deliberate. She wasn't just ending our relationship, she was doing it publicly, in front of her entire social network, making sure everyone understood that I wasn't adequate for her standards. "Good luck paying for dinner without my family's connections," she added, which generated some uncomfortable laughter from her cousins. The cruelty of that remark hit me hard. Not just the words themselves, but the fact that she'd delivered them in front of people, like my financial limitations were entertainment for her family. That's when Sebastian approached, clearly relishing the spectacle. "Don't take it personally, buddy," he said with that patronizing expression I'd grown to despise over the past year. Sophia's got certain standards to uphold. Family obligations, you understand. He was performing for the crowd now, and they were enjoying the show. I'm sure you'll find someone more appropriate to your circumstances, he continued. Maybe in a few years, when you've developed your business further, you can try competing in this market again. The entire circle of family members was watching this humiliation like it was scheduled entertainment. Honestly, Sebastian added, his voice carrying across the room now, you'll probably be begging for another chance once you realize what you're giving up. That's when something crystallized for me. Not rage, exactly, but this perfectly clear moment of understanding. These people had spent 18 months evaluating me, finding me insufficient, and now they were publicly celebrating my inadequacy. I pulled out my phone and made one call. Diego? Yeah, I need extraction from the Fontainebleau. 25 minutes. I put the phone away and looked at Sebastian, then at Sophia, then at the circle of family members who were still observing this unfold like theater. I appreciate the guidance about understanding my market position, I said calmly. Then I walked to the bar, ordered a scotch, and waited. The next 23 minutes felt like hours. I could sense people watching me, probably wondering what I was doing, why I wasn't leaving in embarrassment like they anticipated. Sophia attempted to approach me several times, but I wasn't interested in prolonging the conversation. Then you could hear it before you could see it. The distinctive sound of yacht engines, getting louder as they approached the marina adjacent to the hotel. Conversations started to fade as people tried to understand what was happening. The yacht pulled up to the Fontainebleau's private dock, engines still running. Corporate yacht, sleek and impressive, with Del Mar Logistics printed in large letters along both sides. My company name, visible to everyone at the gala. The entire event had gone silent. Everyone was staring through the floor-to-ceiling windows, trying to process what they were seeing. I finished my scotch, left a 50 on the bar, and started walking toward the marina exit. Silas, Sophia called behind me, but I didn't turn around. Wait, she called again, but the yacht engines were getting louder as I approached the dock. As I stepped aboard my yacht, I could see the entire gala clustered at the windows of the hotel, phones out, probably searching Del Mar Logistics, and discovering that the guy they'd just spent an hour humiliating was worth more money than most of their trust funds combined. Sometimes the best response to being told you don't measure up is demonstrating that you never needed their approval in the first place. Update 1. Diego texted me the next morning with updates from his contact who works hotel events at the Fontainebleau. Apparently, the gala descended into complete pandemonium after I left. The first thing that happened was everyone started researching my company. Del Mar Logistics isn't exactly a household name outside industry circles, but we're pretty well established in international shipping. When the gala guests started finding articles about our recent expansion into Asian markets, and my interview in Miami Business Monthly's Entrepreneurs to Watch feature, the atmosphere in the room completely transformed. Sophia completely lost control. Absolutely lost it. Tried to chase me down to the marina in her gown, screaming for me to wait. When that failed, she spent the next 2 hours crying in the hotel spa while her mother and sisters attempted to console her. Isabella was apparently mortified, realizing they'd just publicly humiliated a major business owner at their own charity event. Ricardo immediately started researching my company on his phone, probably calculating exactly how much wealth they'd just insulted. But Sebastian's reaction was the most satisfying part. He'd been holding court all evening, introducing himself to people as the brother who exposed that social climber. Problem was, several of the guests were Miami business leaders who recognized my company name and knew exactly who I was and what I was worth. By the end of the evening, word was circulating through the gala that Sebastian Morales had just publicly humiliated one of Miami's more successful young entrepreneurs. Not a great look for someone whose career depends on professional relationships and business networking. The real bonus was social media. Someone had filmed the yacht pickup, and it went viral locally within hours. The hashtag yacht exit started trending in Miami. The video shows me walking calmly toward this corporate yacht while Sophia screams my name in the background, and her family stands around looking completely shocked. The video got picked up by some local business blogs as an inspirational story about resilience and not judging people by appearances. Within 10 days, It had over 2 million views and was being shared in entrepreneurship forums as an example of quiet confidence versus loud arrogance. My phone was exploding all weekend. Sophia calling, texting, leaving voicemails that progressed from confused to apologetic to frantic pretty rapidly. I had no idea, was the central theme of most of them. You should have told me. This changes everything. We can figure this out. But that's exactly the point she was missing. She had no idea, and her behavior when she thought I had nothing revealed everything I needed to understand about her character. The money didn't change who I was. It just changed how she perceived me. Sebastian tried calling too, something about wanting to clarify misunderstandings and discuss potential investment opportunities. Fascinating how quickly someone's tone shifts when they realize they've just insulted someone with actual assets. The best message came from her mother. Silas, I hope you can forgive our family's mistakes. We'd love to have you for dinner this week to properly welcome you to our community. Welcome me to their community. After 18 months of treating me like a charity case, I spent the weekend at my actual residence, the penthouse in Brickell that I'd never brought Sophia to, just reflecting on how dramatically they were all treating me now that they knew the truth. Not because I'd changed at all, but because their perception of my worth had shifted completely. That revealed everything I needed to know about what our relationship had actually meant to them. Update 2. It's been 2 months since the charity gala, and Sophia has launched what can only be described as a comprehensive offensive to get me back. The desperation is honestly painful to witness. She started by appearing at my office building, waiting in the lobby with coffee and apologies. My security team had to escort her out twice before I instructed them to just deny her access entirely. She's attempted everything from tearful apologies to angry accusations about how I deceived her through a mission about my wealth. You made me look like an idiot, she said during one particularly dramatic lobby confrontation that half my staff witnessed. How was I supposed to know you were actually wealthy? You drove a Honda. That's the element she still doesn't comprehend. I wasn't concealing my success to deceive her. I was living modestly to reveal her authentic values. The fact that she feels idiotic says everything about why she was with me originally. Her family has intensified their reconciliation efforts. Ricardo has called 6 times wanting to explore business partnerships with my company. Isabella sent an expensive flower arrangement to my office with a note about family miscommunications and how much they'd always respected my entrepreneurial spirit. Sebastian attempted to arrange a business lunch to discuss mutually beneficial opportunities, as if we'd always been peers instead of him spending a year treating me like his sister's charity project. The social pressure campaign is the most manipulative aspect. She's been contacting every mutual acquaintance we have, explaining how much she loves me and how this is all a massive misunderstanding. Half of them believe I should give her another opportunity because people make poor decisions when they're emotional. The other half think I'm completely justified in walking away. She's been posting old photos of us on Instagram with captions about overcoming obstacles and love conquering pride. It's like she's attempting to rewrite history, pretending the breakup was about communication problems rather than her publicly humiliating me for not being wealthy enough for her expectations. The most revealing incident happened a month ago. I was having dinner at Joe's Stone Crab when I noticed her across the restaurant with some guy who was obviously trying to impress her. Expensive jewelry, talking loudly about his real estate investments, name-dropping local business figures. She looked absolutely miserable. When she spotted me, she excused herself and approached my table. That guy's a complete fraud, she said, like we were still together. All he discusses is money and status. I miss being with someone genuine, someone with actual character. Someone genuine, after she dumped me for not having sufficient money. You showed me what really matters, she continued. Success isn't about displaying wealth, it's about integrity. That's why I fell in love with you. But here's what she still didn't understand. She'd fallen in love with a version of me that she'd created in her imagination. The modest, hard-working guy who needed her family's assistance to develop his career. She'd never actually known the real me, because the real me had been evaluating her character the entire time we were together. I've been clear with everyone that this isn't about ego or wounded feelings. It's about what I discovered about her when she thought I couldn't offer her anything valuable. That information doesn't become irrelevant just because she regrets it now. Final update: Sophia's social standing in Miami essentially imploded. The video made her locally infamous for all the wrong reasons. Everyone knows the story now, how she publicly dumped a multi-millionaire for not being wealthy enough, not realizing who she was actually addressing. It's become this cautionary tale people share about assumptions and materialistic behavior. Dating has been devastating for her from what I understand through mutual connections. Wealthy men won't approach her because they saw the video and know exactly what she prioritizes in relationships. Other men know they'll always be compared to the millionaire she lost, and don't want to deal with that psychological burden. Her family's reputation took a serious hit as well. Sebastian lost multiple business relationships when word spread about his behavior at the gala. Difficult to trust the judgment of someone who publicly humiliates successful entrepreneurs at social events. Isabella and Ricardo have gone into full damage control mode, attempting to rebuild connections that were damaged by their daughter's very public mistake. Professionally, Sophia's been struggling. 4 job opportunities disappeared when employers researched her name and found coverage about the incident. Miami's business community is more connected than people realize, and this story has become part of local business legend. Meanwhile, my company went international 8 months ago. We're now valued at just over $300 million, and I ended up on Inc. magazine's 40 Under 40 list for logistics innovation. The success feels completely earned because I built it without using wealth as social leverage. I'm with someone amazing now. Carmen's a successful architect who built her own firm from nothing. She knew about my company before she knew about me personally, which was refreshing. When I told her about the Sophia situation, her response was simple: "Thank God you discovered who she was before you married her." The difference is remarkable. Carmen doesn't need my money, doesn't want my money, just wants to build something together as partners. She gets excited about my business achievements the same way I get excited about her winning major projects. That's what real partnership looks like. Last month I spoke at Miami Entrepreneur Week about building sustainable business culture. Sophia was in the audience. Her current position apparently required her to attend professional development events. When she attempted to approach me afterward, security politely redirected her. Not because I was bitter, but because there was simply nothing remaining to discuss. The entire experience taught me something valuable about evaluating people's character before you become too invested. I'd always understood that money changed how people treated you, but I'd never deliberately used that knowledge to assess someone's true nature. Sophia thought she was dating beneath her level when she was with me. She thought she could do better than someone who drove a practical car and lived simply. The yacht didn't prove that I was worthy of her. It proved that she was never worthy of me. I'm grateful for all of it now. The condescension, the public humiliation, even Sebastian's smug comments about knowing my market position. They showed me exactly who these people were when they thought I couldn't respond. I'm still driving the Honda, still living modestly relative to my means, still not advertising my wealth to people I meet. Because the right person won't need to know what I'm worth to recognize my value, and the wrong person will reveal themselves by caring more about my bank account than my character. The yacht wasn't showing off. It was showing them exactly who they'd just lost.